Hi everyone, my name's Anne. Welcome to Card Making Project 529. Now in today's episode our card is more masculine than it is feminine, but yeah, I think it could go either way. You could just change the embellishments on the front of the card and make it to suit the person that you're sending it to. I also think it's a great card to create for somebody that you don't know very well, that's a gentleman, because sometimes we get asked to make cards for somebody that we've no idea what their interests are and what their hobbies are, and this could be the perfect one. You could change it to be more feminine to add flowers on the front instead. I've used a die cut from for the boys collection from Anna Griffin, but you could quite easily change it to add flowers or other die cuts that you might have, and it would just work so well. It's the ombre effect that I think that gives it the edge. Everything I do here is actually put in a detailed list on my blog, so please be sure to check it out. There's also lots more photos of the projects on there as well. So maybe this project isn't for you, maybe you're more advanced and you want something a little bit more advanced to look at. Please have a look, because there's so much more on there. You can always find me on Facebook, you can always find me on Twitter, on Instagram. All the details are listed at the end of the video for the links, etc. If in doubt, just contact me. You can always comment on Facebook, you can always get hold of me directly, and I love seeing what you create. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's have a look at today's project. For today's project, we're going to use one die. Well, we're going to use the ornate layer, and we're going to use the shadow layer of the lace edge dies from Anna Griffin. We're not using any other dies. And I mentioned in the intro that this is a great card for the guys. It really is. And you could adapt it and add florals instead, but I'm always asked about ideas for gentlemen. And I think this one, it's an easy card and it builds really nicely. There's a little bit of die cutting involved, but at the end, the embellishments you add, you could make your own. So you could go either way. You could go male or female. The base card that I'm using is from the Perfect Patterns birthday card set from Anna Griffin, and it's a 7x5 in size, and on the back of Anna's cards she has the handmade already on it, so all you have to do is add your name. I've got the number of the project it is, just to remind me. You don't have to put a number on there. I normally put the date on as well, so but you don't have to do that. I've added my name so that if I give this card to somebody, not only will they ask what the 529 means, but they will be able to remember who I am and who made the card for them. And I just think it's really nice to be able to, let people know that you've made something special for them, so that if they do keep it, they can remember who made it. So even though this is a card from Anna's packs, I'm still going to use my bone folder to make sure that that crease is nice and sharp. I do have a thing about sharp creases. You might have got that after 500 episodes. But I just think it makes it look more professional when it's stood up for some unknown reason. Okay, so we're going to do the inside first. I think the inside to this card is really clever. And I'm not blowing my own trumpet there, it's just a clever idea and simple. If you haven't got a craft knife, don't panic, use scissors. It's not a big thing, it's just something tiny that I like to do, and it just looks great. This is one of the cards from, again, the Perfect Patterns birthday card set. And it's what I would class as a frame front card. So I've trimmed it down, I've taken the excess of the card away, I've trimmed it to fit the inside of our card, and then I've taken a craft knife, and you can see better on the back there, I've taken a craft knife and I've cut into the actual centre of the frame, and I've taken it to very nearly the centre, and I've got kind of like two bits hanging. I've then taken the shadow layer of the ornate die that we're using, I've cut it twice and I've cut out in the spring plaid cardstock. And I've trimmed away just one section of each of the 2 die cuts. So I've used the shadow layer. I'm then going to pop the shadow layer underneath where I've cut. Now I've actually got tape on the back, but I just wanted to show you how it worked first. And I'm going to pop the section underneath. So I'm pushing it to the tip, goes to the edge of the card, and then I can press it down. Normally you wouldn't be doing this in mid-air, so you could do it flat on your desk. And then once you've got it in, then you can add your tape on the back. But just for time, I've just got to do it in a kind of different way to how you would do it just sat at home. So again, we've got the cut at the other side, and I'm going to slip the shadow layer in just so the tip of it matches the tip at the edge, and then I can press it down. There we go. I've got flat tape on the back of the actual frame itself that I've cut out, so I can peel that away, and then I can add the insert into the card. And if I can get it, there we go, roughly about there, and press it down. I've also taken a die cut for the boys' die cuts from Anna, because I like to use a variety of items, but I realise not everybody has a variety of items. So sometimes when I do the projects, I try to keep it to a minimum. Sometimes it's like oodles of different things. This one is only 5 things. Perfect patterns, birthday card, lace edge die set, spring card plaid for the boys' die cut, and a large bow. So, and that's it. And I just think it's a good quick card, and it looks very clever, I think, with the insert. So we've got our insert panel. I've got the die cut. I've just had flat tape on the back. I mean, you can use wet glue, whatever you want to attach it, if you have runners, things like that. And I'm just going to pop it towards the centre, but to the bottom, like that. So we've got a nice big section to write in, because, you know, if you're writing to your guy, you want to write, well, you might want to write a long message. I'd keep mine short, personally. But that's, you know, just me. I'm going to say what I have to say. I don't always write it down. So we've got a nice big section for our messages to and from. And now we can go back to the front of the card to build that. I'm using my bone folder again, just to make sure that edge is nice and sharp. Now, I'm not going to put a layer, a background layer on this, because we've got pattern from the base of the card, and we're keeping it, you know, we're keeping it, I suppose, just to those 4 things, and then the bow. So what I've done is I've die cut the ornate layer, and I've cut a shadow layer. The ornate layer, see, I've said 4 things. I'm going to automatically say, oh, there's actually a 5th now. The metallic cardstock from Anna, whether it's the 7x5 or in the 12x12 packs. Mine are from the 7x5 metallic layers collection. You could use any cardstock. So, but I've cut out the ornate layer and the shadow layer from the spring cardstock. I've got flat tape on the back of the ornate layer, and I'm just going to pop it over the shadow layer for a contrast. Now this is where I thought, I don't want to sort of say masculine colours, but I just thought it works well for the blue and the green. Something a little bit different. So I've got tape on one side of the layer, because it's all one layer now. And I'm going to add the blue die cut to one side of the card, so it touches the edge, and the edge of the die cut is the edge with the 3D foam on, and then the inside is flat towards the middle. So I've done this again in a blue one with the actual green plaid from the spring plaid cardstock. I'm going to try and get them kind of straight. But again, the 3D foam is at this edge and then the flat is in the middle. So that as you look at it now, you can see both edges are risen up. Next, I've die cut again, and I've gone for a paler blue, again from the metallic layers, and I've gone for just a lilac plaid cardstock. Again, you could use any to go with your layers. And then I'm going to overlap the previous layer, again the 3D foam at one side and flat tape towards the centre. And I'm overlapping, but marrying the pattern up, so to speak. Does that make sense? And then I'm going to do exactly the same at the other side. 3D foam to one side and flat tape towards the centre. And press that down. Now what you could do, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to confuse you. You could trim the section of the ornate layer away, because then you could save that for another project, for edging or borders, things like that, just so it wouldn't be so bulky in the middle. I'm fine with that, but I know some people are nice and frugal, in which case you could use scrap for this, because you're only going to see the tip to the bottom, one side, for 2 layers. So in your scrap box you might have some cardstock that you could do that with. So the centre one is the even paler blue. That's all on 3D foam, and we're just going to simply add that through the centre. You see how I've got the gap there? Now I know some of you are thinking, well, I knew that. Well, I'm always getting new viewers, and some people, you know, they don't know where to start, so we've just got to tailor make for everybody and wait for everybody to catch up. So that's the centre ornate layer, and it looks pretty already. Now this is where we can either go feminine or masculine. We're going to go masculine. Now maybe your guy isn't a fisherman, he doesn't do fishing, he doesn't do sport, he doesn't, I want to say he doesn't do anything, but I don't mean it like that. Maybe he's just got no interests, maybe he's a worker, maybe he's retired, maybe it's just his garden, maybe lots of things. Now I'm going to use a trophy. My husband isn't really, he's not into sport unless it's motorsport. So this trophy could be a motorsport trophy, it could be motorbikes, motorcars, Formula 1, Formula 3, Formula 5000, Indy, whatever. So I'm going to put a trophy on the centre of the card. It was on 3D foam, and I'm just putting it central. There we go. So that trophy could be a trophy for anything, for whatever the gentleman's into. If you haven't got that, you could use anything. There's maps in the die cuts, there's old cars, there is lots of different ones. I've taken one of the sentiments and it says happy birthday to you. I've got 3D foam towards the sides of the actual sentiment, because our trophy is raised up and the sentiment is going to go over the top, roughly about there, I would say. So where it sits on the layer below, then it's the same height. So the centre is the same height as the trophy, and then the 3D foam keeps it all the same height. And then I'm going to finish it off with a bow just around the edge of the trophy, and then that way it's not too I'm going to say in your face for somebody that has no interests, or for somebody that maybe you don't know them very well. It's just something a little bit different. And that's our card finished. Now I think it's got the wow factor from the background, and this is why it would be so easily adaptable, where you could add your florals on the front, you could change the colour theme, you could use different pattern cardstock. Stands up nicely, and that insert, I just think it looks great with the outside. It matches perfectly using those shadow layers hooked under that card frame. With our sentiment, nice lot of room for your message. What a great card. It will go in an envelope because you've only got the layers really in the centre, because you've got your outside layers that are staggered, so you're not going to need a special envelope. Obviously postage will depend where you live, etc. But it's such a good card, a good base idea, especially with the ombre colour effect. I do like that. And that you would be able to change to tailor make for the person that you're making it for. I will put lots more photos on my blog, so please be sure to check it out. There's always a list of items used, a full ingredient list on there. Items like the tape and Xyron if I've used that, or everything will be on there. Don't hesitate to let me know if you like it. I love hearing from you. I think that's probably the best bit. So show me what you've created. Do the projects give you inspiration enough for you to think, oh, you know what, I'm not going to make what Anne-Marie's made, but I am going to get up and make something? That would be nice to know. So I would just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.